Good afternoon, teacher and partners. Today, I am going to share a brief explanation about the topic of scoring rubrics and evaluation. So now I am going to start with this oral presentation. Now I am going to share the screen, as you can see. Okay, language testing. Testing. The name of the subject. So the topic is explain the use of scoring rubrics to score constructive response tasks. So now I'm going to start scoring rubrics and evaluation. In US education terminology, rubric is a scoring guide used to evaluate the quality of students' constructive responses. Put simply, it is a set of criteria for grading assignments. Rubrics usually contain evaluative criteria, quality definitions for those criteria at particular levels of achievement, and a scoring strategy. They are often presented in table format and can be used by teachers when marking and by students when planning their work. A scoring rubric is an attempt to communicate expectations of quality around a task. In many cases, scoring rubrics are used to delineate consistent criteria for grading. Because the criteria are public, a scoring rubric allows teachers and students alike to evaluate criteria, which can be complex and subjective. A scoring rubric can also provide a basis for self-evaluation, reflection, and peer review. It is aimed at accurate and fair assessment, fostering understanding and indicating a way to proceed with subsequent learning teaching. This integration of performance and feedback is called ongoing assessment or formative assessment. Continue with the next scoring rubrics and evaluation. When should a scoring rubric be used? Rubrics can be used to classify and measure almost any product, activity, or behavior, such as essays, reports, portfolios, projects, oral presentations, skills evaluation, performances, or group activities. Once you have selected or developed an assessment tool or tools, you can create a rubric to define the expectations for the course program area you are assessing. How do I develop a scoring rubric? Once you have determined what you are assessing, a course program or large knowledge skill set such as critical thinking, and develop your assessment tools, you can develop your rubric. First, identify the characteristics of what you are assessing. In most cases, this will be specific to a stated learning outcome. Each rubric item will usually focus on a different skill or competency. Keep it simple with perhaps 5 to 15 items stated in brief phrases. Continue with the next slide, scoring rubrics and evaluation. Second, review the standard of success for the learning outcome. Identify the score that students must be able to achieve to meet the standard. For example, 70% of the students will score 70% or higher. Keep this in mind as you develop the scoring for your rubric. Third, describe the best work you could expect using these characteristics. This describes the top rank of your rubric. Fourth, describe the worst acceptable product using these characteristics. This describes the lowest acceptable rank of your rubric. Fifth, describe an unacceptable product. This describes the lowest rank of your rubric. Sixth, develop descriptions of intermediate level products and assign them to intermediate ranks. For example, you might choose a rank of 1 to 5 for each item or learning outcome. For example, 1, 20% equal unacceptable, 2, 40% equal limited proficiency, 3, 60% equal proficient, 4, 80% equal good proficiency, 5, 100% equal superior proficiency. Another sample range for scoring is a scale of 1 to 4, with each range representing a series of achieved learning objectives. For example, 4, 100% equal completes all of the activities. 3, 75% equal completes some of the objectives. Second, 50% equal completes few of the objectives. 1, 25% equal completes none of the objectives. Select terminology that is clear, objective, and meaningful to your assessment tool and learning outcomes. Okay. And the first question, why do we use scoring rubrics when assessing speaking and writing skills? Regarding the context of this question, we as future teachers teaching English as a foreign language have to use the scoring rubrics both in speaking and writing skills due to the fact that the use of the scoring rubrics will allow us as future teachers of English language to establish several parameters or grading criteria that we can consider very essential when determining an adequate score in accordance with each of the criteria established for the final assignment of a total grading with respect to that ability. In this context, the design of the scoring rubrics gives us the possibility of presenting our own criteria or parameters that we consider very important for the corresponding final grading determined in different scores according to each of the criteria established in an efficient and effective way. Therefore, we as future teachers of English language must use the scoring rubrics when we assess the skills of speaking and writing due to the fact that the academic criteria are determined in a very specific way to assess such elements of each of the exposed skills. For example, the scoring rubrics for speaking ability should set for performance criteria that assess the correct use of pronunciation, the correct use of vocabulary, the correct use of grammar, fluency, etc. Regarding the context of the use of the scoring rubrics to assess writing ability, we can emphasize that the performance criteria could be the following: the correct writing of words, phrases, and sentences that make up expressions of English language in written form, the correct use of upper and lower case to maintain proper writing control with respect to the development of written paragraphs in relation to a particular topic, the correct use of punctuation symbols to separate phrases and sentences in a paragraph with respect to the meaning of providing writing totally understandable for both the writer and the reader, the correct use of legible handwriting focused on both calligraphy and spelling to provide totally impeccable writing for the taste of the writer and reader, etc. Therefore, the scoring rubrics are essential to assess speaking and writing skills by providing a specific criteria effectively and efficiently. The next question, what is the difference between analytic and holistic rubrics? First, analytic rubrics describes levels of performance for each criterion to assess student performance on each of them. Analytical rubrics are designed to assess students' work based on specific criteria and different degrees of quality of the assignment. Analytical rubrics are more common because teachers typically want to assess each criterion separately, particularly for assignments that involve a large number of criteria. An analytic rubric resembles a grid with the criteria for a student product listed in the leftmost column and with levels of performance listed across the top row, often using numbers and or descriptive tags. When scoring with an analytic rubric, each of the criteria is scored individually. Components: first, task description; second, assessment criteria; third, performance levels. What is the difference between analytic and holistic rubrics? Second, one holistic rubrics assigns a level of performance by assessing performance across multiple criteria as a whole. Does not list separate levels of performance for each criterion. Holistic rubrics tend to be used when a quick or gross judgment needs to be made. A holistic rubric consists of a single scale with all criteria to be included in the evaluation being considered together, for example, clarity, organization, and mechanics. With a holistic rubric, the reader assigns a single score, usually on a 1 to 4 or 1 to 6 point scale based on an overall judgment of the student work. The writer matches an entire piece of student work to a single description on the scale. Now we can, all of you, we can see I am sharing two pictures about examples of analytic and holistic rubrics. Analytic rubric for grading oral presentations, I had below expectations, satisfactory, exemplary score, organization, content, style, total score. The next picture I had grade and description of the grade, high distinction, credit, pass, fail. That is a scoring rubric for assessing writing skill. Now, thank you so much. That is all for today. Thank you for being here and watching my oral presentation about this incredible topic, because I can understand and learning about how to create scoring rubrics to apply different kinds of assessment to check the performance of the students according to the four skills that can be listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care.